Today at Solus Partners, we were very excited to have Kevin with Meibel on. Kevin, can you tell us a little bit about your background and how you came up with the concept?
Yeah. So thanks for having me, Stephen. It's exciting to be on the program today. And yeah, Maybell came about actually from my co-founder. And my co-founder was building AI systems. We actually worked together before at a previous startup, but he was building AI systems at AWS for internal reasons. And one of the deliverables that they had there was not only to build a model and deploy a product that worked, but how do you build the systems around something that needs to be production ready? And by production ready is, you can't deploy what you can't measure. So these outputs that are coming out of AI all the time, how do you have the right measurement capabilities around what you're deploying with AI? And how can you not only tell your customers what you're doing is not only correct, but you can explain where the data is coming from and why, but how can you explain to your stakeholders what's going on, right? Like your company, how can you build products that your company is basing their revenue off of if you can't explain what's going on? And that's the core of what Maybell was built from. And what we do is we target product and engineering teams so that they can have these capabilities and have this confidence to go to production with the generative AI they're building. And what some people don't realize is like you have to start with the data ingestion process through retrieval. You can't just look at the outputs. And that's another one of the capabilities of Maybell is taking a look at everything from how your data is analyzed, cataloged, presented to the LLM, and then eventually retrieved. And then only then can you actually decide, hey, what's the lineage of how this answer came to be? Am I happy with that? Or how do I make it better?
That makes a ton of sense. Fascinating in terms of just the evolution of the concept. Considering obviously AI can impact every single aspect of life and business, are you guys seeing particular traction in any given industry or type of company?
It's a great question. And, the thing about AI is that it's applicable everywhere, like absolutely everywhere. Everyone can use it. What I think one of the most amazing things that I'm seeing with AI is there's a lot of industries that have been around for a long time. Think construction, finance, healthcare, industries that maybe didn't always uptake the next latest and greatest technology for one reason or another. And a lot of reasons they don't uptake the new technology is because there needs to be a wholesale change in the way that they do business. Like think about the construction industry, for instance. The construction industry lives with PDF files and Word documents and all these other unstructured documents flying all over the place between everyone. And automation in the past always kind of went to these companies or an entire industry and said, well, if only normalized your data, if only you put everything in a structured form, if only you completely change the way you do business, then you could grab these efficiencies that other, modern technology companies are seeing all the time. AI now unlocks a superpower for these organizations that they really haven't had before because AI can look at this unstructured information. It can identify very close to what a human can identify in this unstructured information and bring a level of automation to these industries that they have not been able to experience before. So I think while we talk about the Facebooks, we talk about OpenAI, we talk about AWSs, and we talk about these big technology companies all the time associated with AI, I think some of the businesses that might get the biggest benefit out of what AI is doing today are some of these industries that have maybe been slow to adopt technology in the past will find that adopting AI now actually fits the way they do business more than maybe any other technology advancement we've had in the past 20 to 30 years.
That makes a ton of sense and it kind of aligns a lot with what we're seeing at Solus Partners, especially kind of in the construction and finance side, which are tend to be a little bit more conservative in the adoption of early
Right.
tech. So yeah, I think you're spot on
But
there.
they're jumping in. They're jumping in on this, right? And I think from our side at Maybell, what we're really interested in is, how do you identify structure in an unstructured set? And then how do you put that information together? So if you think in the finance industry, so it's great that you can take all this unstructured information, but how do you find the structure in unstructured? How do you make sure math, all the math is still correct? How do you make sure that policies are related correctly to one another? How do you ensure answers are correct? And it's not just a next word guesser, but you're actually putting together the things that you need to put together, and you have the right checks and balances on the answer. I think that's the next step, and what a lot of people are building right now, what we're helping companies build right now with AI. And when you put all of that together, you get some extremely compelling and new ways to use your data that you never thought possible in these industries.
That's fascinating. I mean, considering the fact that Maybell has kind of that soup to nuts perspective and advantage on the AI development within a lot of different industry use cases, at a high level, could you give us like maybe a little bit of an example as to how maybe one of your existing customers is using the platform?
Yeah, absolutely. So one of the publicly referenceable case studies that we have on our website is SpecBooks. They're actually in the construction industry. One reason I brought that up, and they deal with a lot of unstructured data sets, right? So you think of very large construction projects, like I'm rebuilding a Marriott or I'm replacing all the bathrooms in a convention center. Very, very large products. It all starts with a PDF file or a Word document that's a request for proposal about what they're going to do and how they're going to do it. SpecBooks has a SaaS platform that allows large distributors and contractors to submit these proposals and then get an actual specification plan back. Okay, this is how you would actually build this project. Here are the actual items and the item list of what you need to put together, and here's the cost structure of that, and here's the marketplace that you can go to. And the reason why you use SpecBooks is because you can actually put together a proposal and plan to go win that project faster using SpecBooks than you can on your own time and pouring through all the materials yourself and figuring it out. What SpecBooks has done is they built on top of the Meibel platform a SpecBooks Plus, which allows their customers to submit this unstructured information through various calls that go back and forth using AI with Meibel. They can now turn a specification plan back in a matter of hours instead of days, or even sometimes minutes. And now you can progress to the next part of your sales process and the next part of your construction planning phase, up to 400 times faster than you were before. And this is a huge win for the industry. Something that would take hours, if not days, of human oversight on what part goes with what and why, and how does it come out of the RFP and end up in a specification plan, now happens in the matter of seconds or minutes behind the scenes, and then gets put together in a total package for proposal at the end. And it's amazing how fast this process can move now with accuracy. And then when accuracy is not where they want it to be, it gets kicked out to a human, and a human takes a look at it and then moves to the next process. But the number of kickouts are, at a very low rate, and still allows them to move extremely quickly.
Very helpful. And I guess like kind of along the same lines of considering SpecBooks' ability to compress their sales cycle using Maybell, for fellow entrepreneurs and prospective business owners that might be watching or listening to this podcast, what other kind of key wins or ROI moments would be possible using Maybell?
So what you're looking for is you're looking for areas of your business that you haven't been able to unlock before. So it's not just about efficiency in maybe things that you do today, but what are ideas that you've had about your business that you haven't been able to execute on? Sticking in, the construction/chemical/industrial space, a lot of these companies sit on a ton of unstructured data that they've never been able to use the IP from in an effective way, because to do that meant they had to get someone to enter all this information in about all these documents into some sort of relational database, or, one CMDB to rule them all. Right? I think we've all been down that path, maybe, or at least if you've been in the industry as long as I have, you've been down the path of some sort of CMDB that's going to change the way that your business works before, that never really gets to where you wanted it to go, right? And so think about having product information shoved in PDFs that you can now expose to customers, expose to sales process, or even create new products on top of, right? Think about communication streams that you can now create agents for, bespoke agents for your industry, for your company that, aren't necessarily industry based, but company based on your IP, not have that IP leave your walls in any way, shape, or form, but be able to build an experience that either helps your internal people operate better, or more importantly, allows you to sell your IP and your data and your thought process in a different way to your customers. I think these are the more compelling aspects. I think the companies that there's two things for AI today. There's companies that are going to use AI to make themselves more efficient, and I think that's great. And I think people who really unlock the power of AI are going to look at new ways to make revenue with capabilities from AI that they never thought possible before in their industry. And those are the companies that are eventually going to have the competitive advantage and put their competitors out of business.
I mean, that's a fascinating breakdown. It makes a ton of sense that people would be looking to unlock additional revenue, but I think more people are of the 80/20 of the field. I would say more focused on the efficiency relative to the new dollars coming in. So I think with Meibel at the helm, I think that's very exciting.
Efficiency is something that you get an early mover advantage on, but efficiency is something that eventually other people can adopt, and people either adopt it or they won't. And the people who won't are laggards. They'll move out, right? But if you want to excel in your space, you need to use the new technology to do new things. And the people who build new products and do new things, I believe they will be leaps and bounds ahead of the organizations who are only using AI for efficiency. And that's not to say you shouldn't do both. I think you should do both, right? I think AI is great for efficiency. We focus on the latter, right? We focus on companies looking to build new products and new revenue streams with AI that they haven't been able to build before. And we allow product and engineering teams to successfully create those products.
Well, and considering the fact that you guys obviously have a very innovative platform that's highly dynamic across industries, given that the assumption would be that you have had a pretty dynamic and innovative team that's sitting behind it to make that possible. Can you tell us a little bit about how you were able to build your team and find the right people to make this happen?
Well, I've been very fortunate. I've been in the industry for a while, going on 30 years. I've done everything from startups to enterprises along the way. The last startup was at a company called Spot Inst, which became Spot by NetApp. We went through an acquisition there, and I've met a lot of great people along the way. I've fortunately been able to start a company with my co-founder, and through our network of people, we know a lot of people in the AI space. Our principal scientist, we've known for a number of years. We just never had a project that we could all work on together. And Meibel popped up. It was kind of this magic use case where it could come together. We have a great team of engineers where nearly everybody on our engineering team has worked together, or someone has worked with another person on our team in one way, shape, or form in the past. Not that everybody's worked together, but at least one person knows another person that we brought into Meibel, the company, at this point in time. So it's one of those things that when you've been around for a while and you have a few of the gray hairs on the side of your head, like I have, you've met a lot of great people, a lot of people who are better than you at doing a lot of things. And when you can convince them to, join you for the ride of building a new company, it's kind of humbling when people are willing to jump on and do that with you. And we've just been able to build a really great team from people we've worked with in the past, and using our network to kind of, kickstart this thing from the beginning.
That's very cool. And it's always great to have an amazing and highly capable tribe around you. So hats off to you guys. It's easy to say, it's much harder to do. So it's cool to see it in motion.
Culture, when you're building, culture trumps all. And then having a great team of people who are just, everyone sees the North Star and they want to get to where they're going. I truly believe it's one of the funnest parts about being a startup, is just being able to kind of have a sense of belonging with everybody around you, that you're all in the same thing together, getting to the same goal. And nothing really replaces that feeling of the startup world. Now, eventually you grow and you become bigger. And there's a lot of great qualities about big companies as well. But that's something about startups that is very, very startup. And it's an exciting phase to be in, for sure.
Absolutely. And I know you just mentioned and touched a little bit on culture there. And obviously that's a key pillar on both kind of the highs and lows of the journey, especially from the startup through that evolution. Could you touch on, for the entrepreneurs that are listening, kind of what that's looked like for you guys, both kind of the challenges and also like the wins that you guys have experienced, and how best to navigate either?
Yeah, I would say culture is the number one thing to hire for. You can take a look at someone's resume and look at someone's skills, and there's a lot of LinkedIn posts out there about 10x engineers. I don't even know what that is, to be honest with you, at the end of the day. Someone with, I don't know, 20 hands, right? Someone who knows how to use AI really well. I don't know. I know when you have a team if you hire for people who work together well, you can accomplish anything, because you can look for, if the intangibles of culture pan out, you can always easily decide, does someone have the skill set I need, right? So when you open a role, you know the skill set you need for that role. So I'm not saying, like, you're not going to hire an English major into a developer role if they've never touched code ever in their life, right? Or there's a high probability you won't. Maybe I'll be surprised, but I'm just trying to come up, with something that's obvious why someone wouldn't fit a role. But if someone has the chops and another person has the chops, but culture is the defining thing between the two, I mean, you might even go for someone with the slightly, maybe they didn't wow you with their skill set in the beginning, but with the right culture around them, they will probably wow you a month or two from now, and you'll be extremely happy with the hire, right? So I think culture is not something that's dictated to you. You have to decide the culture of your company. The culture of Meibel may not be the culture of the company that you're starting or what you're doing. You need to define that. I think with the founding team, you really need to understand what your culture is as a founding team. Your founding team needs to live the culture as much as what you're hiring for. It is a top-down thing. If you're not doing it if your founding team isn't living the culture that you're hiring from, things will break, and things will fall apart pretty quickly. But if you define a culture for your organization, you hire to that culture, and you're finding the people who can fit the skill sets that you need, it's all about execution at that point in time. Go and win.
Makes a ton of sense. And obviously then that culture will propel you through kind of just either the pitfalls or the wins that you experience as a team. What has that been like for you guys?
Yeah, I mean, we're like every other startup, right? There's feelings of greatness and feelings of maybe we didn't do something right here. We got to go back and cycle back and rethink what we did. But you also have to hire people who are willing to do that, right? So, some people call it the highs and the lows. I don't know if it's really the highs and the lows. I think you're until you're 100 million ARR and pure product market fit, and your main goal of your business is scaling your go-to-market team to push a product that is very mature, you're in that stage, and you're in that stage for a while. I mean, there's a lot of great products out there that are in that stage today. I mean, I don't know if it answers your question too much, but you got to have your culture has to be that. It's like, yeah, there's going to be some stumbling blocks along the way. And guess what? Like, we're going to recognize it. We're going to look at it. We're going to decide, okay, what are we going to do about it next? And we're all going to move on. We're all going to move on to the next step. We're not going to forget about it. We're going to learn about it. We're going to move to the next step, but we're not going to dwell on it. We're not going to cry about it, whatever it was. We're all going to move on. We're going to get to the next step, and we're all going to be, fine with it. The other thing that you have to know about, before you get to that stage where it truly is like a go-to-market leveler, is you're figuring stuff out. And 6 months from now, you might slightly change what you thought, the next 6 months are going to be from previous. When you do get to like that huge scale, that becomes a little bit less easy to do, right? It becomes a little bit less to kind of make those quick changes quarter to quarter or 6 months to 6 months. So yeah, so it's fun, and it's not that being big is terrible. It's just a different set of problems, a very, very different set of problems, and you have to have a different way of thinking about them when you eventually get to that stage, which I want Meibel to get to, right?
Yeah.
So I want to have those problems sooner than later, but we do have to get there. Right.
Absolutely. Well, it kind of along that kind of sense of growth, and obviously you guys have a huge ocean in front of you that's, I would say, is pretty blue. Are there any, obviously construction being one of those kind of key industries that you focus and have some key wins on, as well as finance. Are there any other areas, or are those kind of the two main areas that you're seeing as the next step of unlocking some additional ARR?
I would say whole industrial industry, logistics, things like that as a whole. We've seen good traction in government space, actually. So we are in the Northern Virginia area is where the core of our team is. So we're locked into a lot of public sector and government as well. And there's a big uptake there. You can imagine they have a lot of the same requirements as, I would say, industries in the industrial space. And then we also see people in the technical space as well, right? It depends on what part of your organization that you're working with. But yeah, we kind of see people in all verticals, but I will say very, very heavy industrial, public sector, government at this point in time for us. Although we do have a few opportunities in the more, kind of more modernized technical space as well too.
Nice to have a lot of different angles then.
Right. We're trying to keep the use cases across those. So this is another thing as a founder, are you spreading yourself too thin? The use cases are very similar across all of these. It's hard when you're not vertically integrated with an industry, because you got to make sure the personas and the use cases are consistent across what you're doing. So you're not building, you don't feel like you're building too many different things. And I think we've been very, very good with the use cases across the different verticals that we're using that with.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like then you've got a consistent theme, but across some core case studies that make a lot of sense regardless of industry.
That's where we're headed right now. Yep.
That's awesome. And so I guess like in a broad sense, what would be kind of like the 12 to maybe 24-month goal, or kind of what does that picture look like when you're looking ahead for the team and just Maybell as a platform?
Growth at this point in time. So we announced our seed funding, which is our first official round of funding. We were in business for a year and a half before we took on the seed round. So we've been a little bit more conservative with how we go out and get money. We didn't go get money to figure out what we're going to do. My co-founder and I had the luxury of being able to go out on our own, raise a little bit of family and friends money and things along the way to figure out where we were going to, place this product. Once we found the traction, we went out and got the money that we needed to de-risk ourselves to the next step. And that's really what it is about as a founder. You could say like, oh, my next thing is going to be a Series A or this much money and all this other stuff. Really what you want to do as a leader is, what do I need to do to de-risk this organization? What do I need to do to de-risk the product, the company, the sales cycle, the different things that I need to do? And to do that, we're at the growth point on Meibel that we need to grow. Right. We have a solid product. We have a product that's in production that we're actively selling today. And we need to prove that becomes a repeatable cycle across different verticals. And we need to do that over the next 12 to 18 months. And as long as we do that, then I, as the CEO, right, as a founder, I can work on whatever that is de-risking us for the next step, whether that's a Series A or, whatever it happens to be. But, as startups go, you'd like to see, that Series A round come around. You likely need that to grow in this space. And there's not too many purely, organic, oh, we're going to raise one round and then we're going to exit or that type of thing. We're in this for the next decade. So just like we kind of pragmatically decided when to raise our seed, we're going to pragmatically decide what the next step will be if that is raising an A round when we need to do that.
Well, congrats on the 7-figure seed. That's harder to pull off than I think it was 12 to even 18 months ago. So in that kind of spirit, what was your experience like raising it?
It's, raising it's also a lot of hard work. It's a full-time job. So for founders, out there, even for people who have a lot of experience, you got to go out and you got to talk to a lot of people. And I think what is often said, but is I don't know how often founders take it to heart, is that you want to find an investor that really understands you, not just someone who's willing to write a check, but someone who understands what you're doing. And especially for seed round, someone you believe is someone you want to be with you for the long haul, right? Because your seed round investor is someone who's with you forever. They're on your board for a very long time, and they're your earliest partner, so to speak. And I think with Mosaic, we found a great lead. It's as much as finding that investor and the person you want to work with, as much as the investor finding someone who they want to work with. I think we also found a great supporting cast to the lead with Mosaic General Partners. We have Array Ventures, we have Denver, we have Co-Founders Capital and Service Provider Capital. And I think everybody that we are able to bring on is someone who can help Meibel get to the next step, and someone who can help us in different ways as much as we can use the money and produce an outcome as well. You're going to talk to a lot of people. We talked to probably more than 60, 65 venture capitalists, even being in the industry as long as we have and doing startups before and everything else. We still went out there and did our due diligence and talked to 60, 65 different VCs ourselves. So I think if you're not doing that, you should talk to as many people as possible. It helps you practice your idea, practice your pitch, listen to what other people are saying in the industry, but it also helps you understand when you have found the right investor as well. And then when that happens, you'll be surprised at how fast it is to pull the trigger and get to the next step.
That's great advice and perspective. And it's great to hear someone that has had experience, but also knows the proper way to diligence the field, because there's a lot of options, but it's hard sometimes to find the right one.
Yeah. And sometimes you just don't meet people at the right stage. Sometimes the fund's not deploying at that point in time. Sometimes they're just, seeing what's out there and they're staying fresh until the next round of money comes. Sometimes they don't specialize in what you're selling. And sometimes you think they specialize in what you're building, but they don't, and they don't understand your area. And it's not that they're making bad bets or they're not investing in you because they don't like you. A lot of times it's just not necessarily in alignment on how they operate and how you operate. And so it's important to understand that as vetting your product in the marketplace with customers as well. I will say, as a founder, always, always, always take customer feedback as your most important feedback on what you're building as a product. And then take your raise. And that's more of a relationship building. Like, does this person believe that I have vetted the market in the correct way, believe that I have vetted the customers I'm talking to in the right way? Or are they going to help me move forward with that customer base in the future instead of trying to sell the VC on your product? There is a little bit of that. They got to believe in it, but really you're vetting your product with customers and the industry. You're vetting the story and the longevity and how you're going to get there with the venture money. And then if you can make that magic happen, awesome. Go get it.
That's great wisdom on market feedback, both in terms of the product, but then also I think just fleshing out the balance sheet with the VC validation. So hats off to you guys. For prospective customers or people that might be interested in using Meibel as a platform, what's the best way that they can get in contact with you or your team?
Meibel.ai, Meibel.ai is the best way. There's a contact form there. You can email me directly. It's just Kevin, Meibel.ai. I look at all my email that comes in. So you can contact me directly there, but really filling out the form on the website or signing up or just going taking a look at us online. We're also on LinkedIn. We don't do too much other social media yet. So LinkedIn is the primary way to get in contact us. If you're on LinkedIn, you can and you like social media, LinkedIn's the best way to get in contact with us there. But we follow both of those channels and more than happy to have a conversation with you through either of those means.
Well, I really appreciate this, Kevin. Thank you for the context, but also just excited to hear and see as to how you guys are able to grow this. It sounds like you guys are in a great spot.
Thank you very much. Appreciate the time. Yeah, I also like interfacing with other founders as well. So if there's other founders out there you're looking to raise, you have questions about, different things, I'm also always willing to talk to people and provide help along the way if I can provide help or just be a soundboard. Sometimes founders just need another person to kind of vent to, and I can be that too. So more than happy to build those relationships as well.
It's great to build the ecosystem. We need more people like you, Kevin. Thank you.
Thank you, Stephen.